Welcome to 2022 and Gold's first make and take of the year. Woohoo! Hi, everybody. Thank you all for joining us today. Let me bring on my two of my edu besties, I should say, not just the only two I have. But these two ladies are the top of the list for sure. I love them very much, and they work so hard. And this is so much fun to be with them again. So we've got Stephanie and Ashley.
Hello, everyone. We're so glad you could join us today. Make sure you say hi in the chat.
Hello, it's good to be back and doing Megan Takes again. And I'm really glad, Megan, that you think Stephanie and I are two of your favorite edgy besties. I would say that you two are my favorite edgy besties.
For sure. You guys have so many great ideas. And if I need something or I need an idea or Ashley's fixing of things, you're the best people that I know to ask. So yay, I'm so happy to be with you guys again.
Yeah, today, Ashley, we were working on our slides for innovation, and Ashley's like, that is not aligned perfectly. And it was like, not probably like half an inch.
That does not surprise me. So I'm glad that I was teaching and not with you guys, but I'm sure it looks amazing. I will go double check that.
It's all fixed now, don't worry. But it is a blessing and a curse. Anybody else who's out there who's the perfectionist knows the blessing and curse that I deal with every day.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So this for this make and take, everybody, we are looking at how to be extra this year with your students. I mean, you've probably all, if you've watched this a few times, noticed that we are slightly extra sometimes with things. I think it's amazing. But we're going to go through some different little groups looking at management, relationships, engagement, and organization to either start this year or to continue throughout the school year and even into next year. So we want to welcome everybody once again. It's great to see you all, and comment in the chat. If you've got any questions for us, let us know where you're from. We all teach in Pickerington, Ohio. So it's great to be all together. And I love working with these ladies. So we've got in our chat how to join our Google group. If you need help, there's a video to watch and then some access to slides here shortly. So I mentioned earlier, we are going to be looking at some little tips and tricks on management, relationships, engagement, and organization. And so we're going to start off with be extra with management. And what I have created, and I use a lot this year, thanks to Slides Mania. Let me tell you, if you have not been on this website, oh my gosh, you've got to check out Slides Mania. She has so many amazing slide decks all ready to go for Google and also PowerPoint, and they're adaptable. You can add little GIFs to things. I mean, they are perfect. So what I have on the screen is one that I created for the fall. And so I would use this, for most of the fall time. And then she's got winter stuff. She had Christmas trees. She's got stuff coming up for Black History Month, Valentine's Day, tons of options. But this is what I project in my class every day. I've got my agenda. I've got our objectives. I try to fill in either whatever national holiday it is or this day in history since I teach social studies, or random funny facts if I don't find anything that's appropriate for my junior high kids. I try to put funny things up there to make them laugh. And then also reminders that, be kind to everybody, things that they need or don't need, etc. So that's how I start with my management and kind of letting the kids know, here's the plan of attack for today. So Stephanie, you've got your next one.
Yeah, so my share is Wonder Walls. And this is just a great way to kind of organize your week or your day. I kind of always like to explain to students like what's going to happen this week. What is it going to look like, especially if you're working on a really big project. And so this Wonder Wall can kind of just help you organize what's going on this week. I still might use an agenda for the day like Megan does, but then on the next slide after that, I would have this Wonder Wall. And so with this Wonder Wall, I have what are we learning? So students are seeing what are we learning this week? What is like our learning target? What's kind of our goal? And then they're going to know, why are they learning it? What is the importance? How is it going to relate back when they get out of school? Why do they need to know how to write a summary? Why do they need to know how to add fractions? All of that kind of stuff can really help some of those students that might be disengaged, or they're just like, well, this is stupid, I'm not going to do it. And then I want my students to know when they have learned it. So that way they know, okay, I have mastered this because I've done these things. And this is kind of what proficiency looks like. And so how are they going to learn it? It's through those daily activities that we're going to do. So on Monday, I might say, okay, you're going to do this activity. Tuesday, this one. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there might be an assessment just to test your knowledge. And I might use bullet points if there's multiple different things. If it's just one big task for the day, depending on the class period, I might just put that one item in there. So for example, I did this with a book trailer activity with a teacher. And on Monday, the kids had to have their storyboard done. So I just put in their storyboard must be completed and have a teacher check. On Tuesday, the students had to have 50% of their video created. So that was in the Tuesday box. On Wednesday, their video had to be done, edited. On Thursday, they had to turn it in and give peer feedback. So then on Friday, the students did like a reflection type of activity, and they talked about any edits that could have been remade, and they made those edits. So again, students can see the whole week laid out with the what are we learning, why are we learning it, but then it's broken up for them. So they have a learning progression to know exactly what they have to do in which order. So it worked really well for the classes that I've used this with, and the students kind of have a better sense of like, okay, this is how I'm learning it, and I'm going to break it apart in these days. And some days, like Monday, some of the students finished their storyboard, some of them finished that teacher check, so they were able to start editing their video. But some students only got to that storyboard teacher check. So again, it's allowing that self-pace, but saying this is what's due today helps a lot of those students that need that support. All right, Ashley, what's yours?
So mine is being extra with classroom jobs. I don't know about you, but I love assigning jobs to my students. It gives them a sense of ownership and accountability, and they feel responsible. And then it's one less thing I have to be doing in the classroom because that student is doing it for me. So with classroom jobs, you can implement them any way that you want. As the counselor, I just implement jobs where I see needs. So I've created this poster with 3 different category areas. The first row defines jobs that deal with like operations in the room. So there's helping with like taking care of the animals, helping to be the interior designer. The energy conserver can help with like turning the lights on and off, or like managing energy like that. There's gardeners, property managers can help with making sure that the desks are all even and chairs are pushed in, everything's working properly and safely. That person can also work closely with the custodian. So I think about the things that I have to do on a regular basis. How could students help with that? And then teaching them how to do these jobs. So there's supply managers too. I know pencils always need sharpened. You need to like look at the supplies to make sure that you have enough of what you need for an activity. You can even teach students how to count the supplies, make sure everybody has them. So that's operations, the first row. The second row deals with collaboration. So helping people to be fitness coaches, and they can design activities for brain breaks. Having a librarian or a line leader, someone to help with the mail, whether it's picking up mail from the office or delivering mail in your classroom. The second in command is a really fun job where it's like your assistant. So somebody who works directly with you, who you can give bigger jobs to. And then other people who have jobs could also report to that person as well. And then there's technology help. There's so many students in your classroom or your school who are technology experts. So these are really fun jobs for them to apply to based upon the interests they have, the strengths they have, or maybe goals that they have in the future. Like maybe there's somebody who really wants to be a designer in the future who could have the designer job, and you could figure out how long they have these jobs. All right, so the last row deals with communication. So my students love talking. They're extra chatty this year. So this is just a more structured way for them to talk in a more appropriate way. And you're teaching them healthy communication skills. So having greeters, having photographers, people who can create positivity in your classroom and put up posters or pass out notes for students. You can have people help with student support. So if somebody's having a rough moment or a rough day, maybe you can have that person with appropriate training talk to another student who needs that help. You can have researchers, social media influencers. Again, these are just options for jobs. You can even put in the chat ideas that you have for jobs or things that are working really well in your classroom. I know this also requires you to give up control. And I know for some people that's an issue, like Megan. Yeah, but that's okay. It takes time. Introducing jobs is a big task. And upfront, you have to be willing to teach everybody what the job entails and make sure they're doing it appropriately, but you're also teaching life skills too. And jobs are really great. When I've used them, students love it. And then it eventually is one less thing I have to do. So classroom jobs is one of my favorite things.
And I gave up a job. I had to create a video tutorial for some teachers, and I was like, hey, this kid's catching on. You can do it. And it felt really good. I did let go of that control, Megan, and he did it, and it went really well. But what job would you want? So let us know in the chat. Megan, what job would you want if you were in the classroom?
Probably the one that deals with making sure everything is in nice, neat rows and chairs are pushed in, because it drives me crazy when my 8th graders leave and there's desks are moved and whatever. So I'd be the person who makes everything nice and neat.
Oh yeah, the property manager, that also drives me crazy too. And I'm sure that there's other students who are bothered by that, who would be really good in that position.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Megan, what job do you want? I'm sorry, Stephanie, what job do you want?
I would have to be the second in command, because I need that, you're going to do this. We're going to get this done. And then it would be okay, we're done. Ashley would be the designer, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. I would try to apply for the designer every time it was offered. But speaking of an application for jobs, so you could create a Google form with these jobs and students could apply. And that way you could see the level of interest that students have with particular jobs and kind of keep track of who's had what job. But yeah, so I think applications are fun too, because that's also a life skill, teaching students how to apply for a job someday, and then giving them feedback about how they did with their job.
I can see this working really well with younger kids. I'm very curious if any of our viewers are junior high, high school, because I teach 5 classes. So it would be hard. This is why I think I'd have a hard time giving up my control, because in 45 minutes, I've got a new group coming in, and that's my only thing. I love the idea of classroom jobs. I think these are all really cool. And I love how they're modern names instead of, back when we were in school. These are all really, big things right now. So these are great ideas.
Well, thank you. I know someone asked about group roles. I definitely do that. And depending on what the activity or task is, it's good to assign those specific roles too. That way things are getting collected and put away. People have opportunity to share and feel heard. So yeah, I love assigning group roles too. I think that's a really important piece. And it also teaches them how to work together and solve conflicts when conflicts arise.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, Megan, maybe it's a once a week job. One person in first period waters the plants on Monday, second Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't know if you could split it up like that.
That's a good option too.
You could start with just maybe 2 jobs. You're going to be the energy conserver today and turn off the lights, and you're going to push in all the chairs. Yeah. And then and in the chat too, we have secondary classes, fewer jobs, choose a student per block for each. And they love it. Yeah. So love it.
Okay, I'll maybe try it.
Just something to think about.
Okay.
That would be
second in command.
Yeah.
It can make your life easier.
Yeah, true.
Depending on who you pick.
Yes. Very true.
All right. With our next round, we're going to do Be Extra with relationships. So Ashley,
okay. I am up first, and what I want to share with you are scales. So I love using these with my students. It gets them talking in a creative way, and I try to pick things that interest them. So I am also Bitmoji Extra. So the scale that I'm showing on this slide deals with my Bitmoji. So I just created on a slide 9 different options with Bitmojis based upon how students might be feeling today. This is actually something that I printed off and framed in my office. So when I have students, it's a good conversation starter. How are you feeling? Pick a number. But if I could just pick random Bitmojis, I also made this for our principal and assistant principals. So when students go into their offices too, that they have that as a conversation starter. So scales help students identify how they're feeling, maybe what they need. You can also use this for in your classroom, maybe for like morning meetings. You don't have to use Bitmojis. I've used emojis. I've used GIFs to explain things, animals, tacos, because I love tacos. So I have taco one. It's like on a scale of tacos, how do you feel? And it doesn't always have to be how do you feel? It could be related to an exit ticket or something that they learned in the activity. So just having them rate something. But scales are a really good way to have students reflect and think about how they're feeling or where they are with their level of understanding or knowledge. And then they can kind of see how other people have rated themselves too for that level of validation as well. But I like scales. It gets people talking. And I just think they're really fun too. So, Megan, do you use scales in your classroom?
I use them often.
Yeah.
We just actually did one last year. Stephanie helped me make a Google form on coming back into 2021 and how our students feeling. And so we used on a scale of Baby Yoda, how are you feeling? So that's always funny. And I've even done one. I found it was in our gold stuff, but there was one that just had donuts on it. And it was, what donut are you feeling like today? And had no rhyme or reason. And it was cute to see the kids. Well, I like this one because it's really colorful. This one's got lots of sprinkles. And there's one that was really plain, like, because I feel blah today. I mean, it was interesting to see. So I use these all the time. I love them.
My favorite's the rubber ducky one where it's like inflatable and it goes flat.
Yep.
That was my favorite.
That's hilarious.
And you can even do them by season too. Like I've seen a lot of snowman ones or gnomes for the wintertime. So you can even change them seasonally too. It's creative.
Yeah.
Yep,
All right.
So the next one is moving motivators. I know I've talked to a lot of teachers, a lot of people, and they're just like, we're not feeling motivated right now. And I think it's important to know what does motivate you. And so right here, I got this from Screencastify. They did like a course on it, and it was called Moving Motivators. And what you do is you take these little cards, and these cards have like indicators for what they mean. And then you just align them in the order to what's most important to you to least important. And so is goal setting important for you to be motivated? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I need a goal that's going to be top most important for me that rather than least. Power. Do kids need to have that power and that leadership type of responsibility in your classroom? Do they need to show mastery, or is that not important to them? Do they need like structure in your classroom where there's like rules and all of the kind of day is laid out with like that agenda and it actually is followed through and that consistency? Maybe they're motivated by that status. So again, knowing what motivates you can kind of help you, but also help your students. So if you know, hey, this kid needs a goal set today, maybe individually you can work with that student, set a goal for them, and then they might be more motivated to do that activity.
That's great. I always feel like order. I need everything nice and neat and in order. Yeah, those are really cool. I have not seen that before, so I really like this one a lot.
Yeah, and there is a link. So if you click on the image right here, it will open up the slide deck. And then you can see the cards. Here's like the definitions. Ashley's going to freak out because this one is not aligned. I will fix it. Don't make a copy yet. But then you can just take the cards and you're able to move them around. And the kids, like you would just assign this, everybody gets a copy, or everybody's in the same slide deck. You could have the same slide deck and do some conversations with it. So like, what are the most important motivators for each of you, because we're all different. What motivates me might not motivate Megan or Ashley. And then we talk about like the similarity and differences. So you could do this all in like one slide deck, kind of like thin slides, or you could send it out so everybody gets a copy, and then maybe you do like a think, pair, share. But again, it should be a quick like 5-minute activity. I would go over all of these first and then set the timer. And then once the timer's going, the students would then move their motivators and then have a quick conversation. Yeah.
Cool.
I like
So-
that too. And it can change every day or like throughout the day too,
Well, for sure.
what they need. Mhm.
I like that. So my way to build relationships is just more of just getting to know your students and talking to them, and not always just about academics. You know, what are they doing outside of school? Today, we had some extra time, and actually went into medical lockdown, so I had extra time, and the kids were just talking. And then we started just talking about random things. And next thing I know, we're talking about how many baby teeth does anybody still have? And so I had to share, when I was in 8th grade, I still had 9 and had 9 pulled to get braces. I mean, this is what we do in junior high. Random conversations. Another class period. I know Stephanie's like, what the heck? I share a lot, people. I'm sorry.
Like to that at all.
But kids like that. They like to hear that you're a real person.
Yes.
Dealing with some of the things that they have to deal
Yep.
with. But it's so random that you remember how many baby teeth you had when you were in 8th grade.
Because I had to go to the dentist and they pulled 9 of them. It was crazy.
I don't think I had any by 8th grade.
How did you chew your food?
That I don't remember.
Maybe you had like lots of ice cream instead.
Probably.
That's not
Juicing diet.
Yes, I'm sure that's exactly what happened. But so getting to know your students, that's like the number one thing to build any relationships with your kids. And I like to do a lot of these thin slide one words where for this year, we picked a goal. What's your goal? This is what Stephanie and I made for last year. Our goals, and mine was evolve, hers was create, on a thin slide where it was one word and one image. And then we share out for 4 to 5 seconds. Well, why did you pick evolve, Megan? Well, I picked evolve because this is what I want to do this year. I want to evolve as a person, evolve in my teaching, evolve in my lesson planning. So I love the idea of one word. It just quick, gets them thinking. You can set a timer. Okay, you have 3 minutes to create this, and then we're going to share out. And they all panic when they hear sharing out. But if you tell them, hey, 4 to 5 seconds, it's easy, we can do this, and they all will share. It's really cool. So great way to get to know your students.
And Megan.
Yeah, and this has been a fun activity too for the new year. So if you're the kind of person who struggles with keeping the goals you set for the new year, maybe you could set a one word to be your focus for the year. I know this has been a huge thing on Twitter right now too, because of all the one word templates you might have seen, people posting all their creation, but it's nice to have a focus word, especially for the new year. So another way to incorporate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So our next category is being extra with engagement. So thinking about how are we going to engage our students this year? So mine is a reset roadmap, but really it's any type of roadmap. So Amanda Sandoval first posted this idea of a roadmap, and I've seen like modern classrooms use it as well. But I just love how it's organized, laid out. It's step by step for students. They know exactly what to do, in what order. You can add teacher check-ins, you can add videos, you can hyperlink resources, whatever you need to add, it's all laid out. Also, most of roadmaps are usually they'll last you a week. So you can do all your planning on the previous week sometime, and then you're done. You can kind of enjoy your nights. You don't need to go in and kind of recreate every single day. You're kind of like batch planning a little bit. So for this roadmap, what I would do first is like that, what motivates you? So going back to my previous share of the moving motivators, that's something I would use there. I also have another Google form that I absolutely love that I might use for this as well, where it has like 2 choices and the students have to pick between like pop and teacher praise. And so then they pick all of these like 40 questions, just 2 quick choices, this or that. And then it gives them a score to let you know like what motivates them as well. Is it teacher, adult praise? Is it peer? Is it all of this kind of stuff? So like I've been I really love that survey. So that might be one that I use as well. And then it's like paired with Autocrat. And then the next thing is I might have my students just list all the procedures that they remember before break. How did we sharpen our pencil? How did we go to the bathroom? How did we have a classroom discussion? How do we push in our chairs before we leave? So going over all of those procedures with my students and seeing what do they remember and what sticks out to them and what am I needing to like reteach them. And then talking with them, okay, what is working, what's not working, getting that student voice in the like play of this. Also, I might replace that activity with like the classroom vision. I just love that activity. And then having the kids create like a mission statement. This is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to meet our new classroom procedures. This is how I'm going to support other students in the class. And then a review game. So it might be a scavenger hunt. It might be a game where my students have to create Flipgrid videos explaining the process, like charades kind of, and going over all of those different procedures that we're reteaching from break. Once we do that, I might have them match like, okay, if you do this good, what role did you kind of match that with, and do some activities with like positive reinforcement and going over kind of that kind of stuff, and then getting organized because they're a hot mess most of the time.
All right, so my way to be extra with engagement is to use the roll and retell, also called dice debrief, and we'll link the slides presentation for you so you can see all the roll and retells that were created back in the fall. But roll and retell is a really fun activity to get your students
You can see all.
And what I like about this activity is that they roll the dice. They can do it individually or with the group, or with a partner. And then whatever number they roll, they answer that question or do that topic on their dice board. So for example, if I rolled a number 5, then I would pick one stressor and one way to cope. So obviously this dice board is related to coping. I actually use this in my coping lesson with students. I had them first identify their stressors, and we used a plate, a digital plate, and we did like a drag and drop. So we put all the things that were stressful for us on the plate. So they had time to do that individually. And then they were able to identify their coping skills. We actually made cope cakes. So they're cupcakes with coping skills. So they did those 2 activities first, and then they were able to discuss with a partner what they identified. So they picked a stressor from their plate, and then one way to cope with it. So they really liked this. They got to talk about the things that were stressful for them, how they cope with it. And they even got to learn some new ways to cope because they talked with their partner about how their partner deals with stress, or maybe what stresses them doesn't stress their partner as much. And that's okay because everybody deals with stress in different ways, and we all have different things that stress us. So it was really validating for them to be able to do this activity. They had to practice their listening skills. They were communicating with each other. They were being respectful. And we also talked about, based upon what people were sharing, keeping that in this space and not telling other people because we want to respect their privacy as well. But you can do this for any topic. You'll see once we share the slide deck with you, it's great for any subject, any grade level. It just gets students talking. Ways to adapt it. So if you don't want to have this be a digital activity, I prefer just to share this slide with my students, the dice board. I had them do it digitally, but you could also print it if it's easier. They could write down their answers if you prefer them to record their answers for you. With the dice, if you don't have physical dice, you can use digital dice. And we have some of those created too, where they just start the video to get the dice rolling, and then they pause it, and then that gives them their number from the die. Another tip that I learned with dice is you can get like a little container and put the dice in there. So that way when you shake it, it doesn't go everywhere in the classroom because that can be really messy to have all these dice going everywhere. So you just figure out what works best for your students. But this is a fun game and it gets them talking, and you can create any topics you want. My students really liked it.
Very cool. With engagement for my class, I tend to do a lot of choice boards or this and that, giving my students the options of what they can complete to show me their understanding. So linked here is just one I did last year with, I believe, Stephanie, was it Amanda Sandoval started this one? She's amazing. If you don't follow her on Twitter, you all definitely should. But it started with our step one must do. So we were covering our first 5 presidents. And so I had the students watch a video. There was a short reading and then a little drag and drop with the first 5 presidents. And they just dragged their names over to the characteristics that went along with that president. So once they got to know the presidents, then they had to choose one of the 3 options that were listed, whatever was interesting to them. So they could create a digital poster about their one president, create a photo bento based off of their one president, or go through and if that president had a cell phone during this time period, what things could be on the cell phone. A lot of kids chose the cell phone, which is interesting, but they did not quite give me what I was looking for. It was a lot of funny stuff, but they didn't connect it to the time period. So I told them, you can pick any song that you want. Maybe you want to do George Washington and you want to do We Are the Champions because they won the American Revolution. Well, they picked songs, but they didn't really make the connection. So for this year, when I do this, I need to be a little more specific in what I'm looking for, but kids love choice. And as a teacher, I appreciate looking at different activities instead of looking at 140 Google Slides. I mean, Google Slides are great, but I don't really want to always look at 140. So this gives them choice of different things to create and complete to show their understanding. Choice boards, amazing.
And the next one is being extra with organization, which is a huge, huge thing that you need to start doing if you're not.
That's very true. And I love being organized. Here's me oversharing. My closet at home is organized by spring, summer, fall, winter, and color coordinated. My desk at school is super organized. I put on here that it's all about your choice and what works best for you. There's so many options. Originally, when I started teaching 20-ish years ago, I was all about the file folders. And then I moved to binders. Step up in the world. And then comes along Google, and you've got your Google Drive where you can put folders and then folders inside of folders, and you can name them and number them and add little emojis to them. I've seen people use Wakelet as a way to be organized. I've seen people use bookmarks to organize. Ashley's going to talk about the new one that I now have started to use because it's a great way to keep all my things digital. It's whatever works best for you. And since we're such a digital world, I mean, I still have binders, but I rarely look at them. So I love having everything online now. So it's whatever works best for you personally.
Yeah, I think that's true. It depends on who you are as a person and how you're going to organize yourself because we're all different.
Yep.
And you have to figure out what works best for you.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, and how the year is going too. I feel like every year I change the way I organize things. I try to make my method easier because I feel like each year I have less and less time to stay organized. So this is a new way that I have implemented this year to keep myself organized because I feel like I get emails all the time about resources or things that I have to remember from administrators or from district office, or just things I want to be able to share with staff. And I'd rather not send them an email with all this new information because I feel like our emails are just overloaded. So I created a hub, and it's just a one-stop shop to share all of my counseling related information with staff. Now you can create hubs for anything, and we have a make and take about that. But I am going to kind of highlight what I've included in my counseling hub, because maybe you want to create something similar for your classroom or for your school. So in my counseling hub, I include like general information. I put like my counseling program in there. So maybe you'd want to put like an about me page, or specific things that you might want to share like with students or with parents or staff every year. Put it in here. You could make it like a personal hub for yourself to stay organized, or this could be shared. So again, this is my one with staff. So I try to think of the things that I need to share with them every year. So like having my virtual office in there, having my website linked in there, having my lessons. So that way, whenever I have a lesson, they can just click in the lesson section and then it pulls up the calendar and they can sign up for lessons whenever they need lessons. I also try to share things for school-wide events. I link the activity pages on there. I put forms that they use on a regular basis. I make team folders. And with the team folder section, if you try to click on a folder for another team that you don't belong to, you don't have access, because I've individually shared the team folders with the people who only need to have the access. So in case you're wondering, well, everybody has access. Nope, I restrict access. So only the people who need it have it. But that's nice, because then with the team folders, I can just share the specific things that those teams need. I have a section for testing, section for student related information. So like my Google Classroom codes go in there, which you can't see because I've blocked. A family section, stuff for staff. So this is what I do. It's worked really well. I've created district hubs. We even have a school hub with shared information and forms. So when people come to us in the office and ask where something is, it's probably on the hub. So this is just a spreadsheet that we go into more detail in with like how to create it in the make and take from the fall. But what I like about hubs is that you can put anything in there. You have to make sure it's linked. That way, when people click on it, it goes to the appropriate resource from Google Drive or from internet. But it's in one place. I also like hubs because if I want to have my own personal hub, it's a way for me to keep track of resources. Like maybe I'm going to a conference or workshops or professional development, and I want a place to share all the good stuff that they give with me, because I get tired of bookmarking everything. Or I get tired of making all these folders or having all these documents everywhere on Google Drive. So I like making a hub just to kind of have all my resources in there. That way, instead of having to look up 20 different folders, I can just go to my hub and see resources about social emotional learning, or resources about communication or whatever. So maybe this is something that you're considering to make your life easier. I highly suggest it. It's a lot of work up front to kind of think of how to organize things and linking them. But then once you have it, you can just bookmark this hub and then just click and it opens up, and then it takes you to wherever you've saved that you need to go to. This is a huge time saver for me. So if you want to learn more, we'll also make sure that the make and take video is linked, and you can just keep rewatching it to learn how to create a hub for yourself.
I use the hub this year because of Ashley and Stephanie. I've got 2 tabs, first semester, second semester, and I put all of my units and all the activities that I've done. I have it linked. I mean, I need to get rid of my binders.
Yeah. And it will help.
It's great.
Like, yeah, it's a lot this year, but next year it should be a lot easier. And I think too, with hubs, like people know where to go. They can bookmark it. They can put it wherever they want to. So it's been a lot of help for our district, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to redo the one at my building because right now it's just on a Google Doc. Totally fine. It's a hub. It's on a Google Doc, but knowing us, we can make it just a little bit better. I hope my principals aren't listening. I'll just redo it.
All right, so my share is okay, Google, organize my life. Last year we did a session, me and Avid Patel. If you know Avid, yeah, you don't want to know Avid. But what we did is we did a session for students. We also did one for adults. So Ashley kind of pushed us for the student one. She was like, hey, will you come and do a session? And so we did. And the kids really liked it. So we decided, why not make it available for anybody? So that is linked on here. It has like a slideshow. But now it's time for the students to actually do what they learned from the video. So they're going to watch a video, and everything is like time-stamped in the YouTube description. So if you don't use Google Classroom, the kids can skip that session. But right here, I just made a tic-tac-toe board. And then students can decide what needs organized. I'm going to decide if I want to use grid view or list view. The answer is always grid view. So that would be a quick X. And then maybe they want to create a bookmarks folder for all of their websites that they use in class. So they can start to create those folders. They can add the favicon, or they can add emojis to the folders to help organize. And then maybe their final X is they want to add emojis to their Google Drive folders. Okay, so again, there would be my tic-tac-toe. And if students wanted to keep going, they can learn how to create an email signature. They might want to reorder their Google Classrooms, especially if they're in junior high. If it was me, I would want it first period, second period, third period, fourth. But a lot of kids don't think like that. But that might just be some executive functioning skills that could really, really help students quickly.
Mhm. I need to remember to do that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, teach those
I mean, yeah, it's a great idea. I love it.
All right, so now it's your turn to share. So if you click on this slide deck or click on the link in the chat, it's your turn to create and design. So you are going to pick your category. These are all hyperlinked. So you just have to click the icon and it will take you directly to that slide. Do you want to share a management tip, a relationship tip, an engagement tip, or an organization tip? Just kind of decide what you want to focus on. If maybe you want to do one of each like we did. Be that extra person this year and do all four. That'd be great. But you'll just go down to an empty slide and you will design your slide just kind of like what we did. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to kind of model this. I am going to share, I have that Google form with the preference that I was talking about that I think would be a really helpful share. So I'm going to share that one if that's okay, ladies.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go down to, let's see here. Where do I want it? Probably relationships will be a good fit. All right, so I'm in relationships. I'm going to go down here to slide 17. If you guys have extra tips, feel free to throw them in there too, and I can share your slides after I kind of walk through. So I have this forced choice survey, okay? And I love this survey. Like, it is amazing. And I actually found out about this survey from Tara Ruckman. She is like our special ed coach in our district, and she is amazing. So if you don't follow her on Twitter, she's getting more active because I think she sees how extra we are on Twitter and everybody in that community. So make sure you follow Tara for some really good resources as well. All right, we're going to drive Luis crazy because Luis helped me set this up as well. So we're going to send him some email alerts. All right, so right here, you're going to make a copy of this Google sheet, and I'll put that in there once I get a nice icon. And what I'm going to do first, though, let me pull over. So right here is the forced choice assessment. And I'm going to just grab this image that I already took. And I'm going to throw it on this slide deck. Okay. Now that I have my image, I'm going to write my name and my Twitter because we always want to give credit to whoever creates their amazing resources. And then I'm going to call this forced choice reinforcement survey. Man, that's long. I need a better name. There we go. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and let me pull up that slide deck again with that resource. Where did it go? I'm going to just go ahead and link the video, and all the video has all of the resources underneath it. So that way you have everything in one spot. Okay. So what you do is you'll make a copy of this Google Sheet. And then if you go into tools, you can go back to the Google form. So the way that I've learned this from Luis, because he's amazing, is that you can have this Google Sheet and it has Autocrat. If you're not familiar with Autocrat, you're going to get a quick tutorial on that. But you can see Autocrat over here and it's got all these different things. I'm going to delete that so it's blank. So Autocrat will send an email. So that's why you're making a copy of this Google Sheet. Once you have this Google Sheet all set up, you're going to go into Tools and Manage Form, and you're going to edit your form. Okay, so here's my Google form. And again, I love this survey. It has a lot of questions, but it's quick. Okay, so it's quick, and I think it can be good for anybody that teaches. I feel like first grade probably until 12th grade. Every student can answer this. Which one would you pick? A teacher writes 100 on your paper or be first to finish your work? What would you guys prefer?
I wasn't listening. I'm trying to find Tara's Twitter. So what was it again?
Teacher writes. You would want 100.
Like 100%. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I'd want to be the first to finish.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not always the first because I'm slower.
Yeah. What about you, Megan? First to finish. Good.
Probably first to finish.
Okay. And then the next question is, which would you pick? A bag of chips or a classmate to be asked to be on their team? So it's like asking kids like which one they would prefer. And then with Luisa's magic, it is ranking their scores to let you know how they like to be motivated. Okay. And so once the form is completed, you go in. So you share the form with your students. And again, they complete it. There's 40 questions. Would they rather have their paper on the bulletin board or a pack of gum? I feel like Ashley is the bulletin board. She wants her work displayed, where Megan is the pack of gum.
I mean, probably, yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, like you can really pick out people from this. Okay, so once people are done, you go into Extensions, Autocrat, and you launch it. Once you launch it, you hit the play button. And if you want to edit any of like the email or anything like that, you would hit the pencil and the video tutorial goes through that. But for now, I'm good with it. So I'm just going to hit play because I want to show you what this final, what the students could receive and what you can use to help your classroom. So again, Autocrat's working right now. It's setting all this up. Right here is the Google Magic. So I can see right here that this person needs 8 adult approval, has 9 independent rewards, consumables is 7, competitive is 8, peer approval is 8. So their main motivator is independent rewards. So then when I am giving out class rewards for behavior, I can go, okay, they like independent rewards, and I can think about how to best meet their needs. Where if it's Ashley, she probably wants that adult approval. And so then I can have her work displayed all over the classroom. I can put it, on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, but someone else might not like that. And so I'm able to use these results to know, okay, this student needs this student needs that. And then I'm able to give them what they need. So again, kind of like the moving motivators, but I just love how it's a quick, like this or that type of question. Yeah. So that was my share.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think that's cool too, because then it teaches us about their personality and their preferences. Mm-hmm. And I think about like the 5 love languages and like what's important for you and like what motivates you. And I always think about like quality time is my big thing. But for somebody else, like they might need like the acts of service or something else. And so I like this. No, I cannot think of a cool name though. I'm like out of cool names. Maybe somebody can comment and think of a cool name for you.
Yeah, because it needs something. I know that's like the professional name that the probably somebody with a doctor's degree created.
Well, I like that it's different questions.
Mm-hmm.
To ask. I mean, some of those I'm like, oh, I would never think to ask that, but that makes a lot of sense. So I like that. That's a good one.
So what you'll do is you're just going to find a blank slide again, add your name, add your tip. Feel free to hyperlink it. You'll notice some of these are hyperlinked, so that way you can view that resource and use it in your classroom. Feel free to adopt that resource as well if it is hyperlinked. And then also share out on Twitter. So again, we love seeing you guys share out on Twitter. So you can go to File, and then you can go to Download as a PNG. Just waiting for it. And it's downloading an image. So you don't even have to take like a screenshot of it, which is really nice. Go to Twitter. And then you can add your image and add your tweets.
And how she did that, she literally left the download where it was on the little dock and then just did a drag and drop right to where the tweet goes. So super easy. You don't have to like search for it on your desktop or anywhere else. You just drag it from the bottom of your website right to the tweet. So a quick upload.
And then you can do your tweet, and then you can tweet it out. So I'm definitely going to tweet mine out because I love the look of this. Feel free to also, I know sometimes people are like, where did they see this? Feel free to post the YouTube link as well. That might kind of help people if they're trying to find resources.
All right, so feedback. We would love feedback about how the session went, how we could improve, what we could create in the future for Make and Takes. So we would appreciate any feedback that you could give us. You can just click on the link, talk about how things went, what you might change or improve. It helps us grow too as educators. So we would love any feedback that you could provide us. Just to kind of help us continue offering professional development for you. And then the last thing is how you can stay connected with our Gold community. You can see our website on top, our Gold Twitter, and then you can also see our Twitter accounts. If you don't follow us, I suggest it. We share things out all the time, lots of free resources. And it's just a great way just to collaborate and network with everybody out there in the Gold world. So we appreciate everybody who is a part of our Gold community. We love sharing and creating, and we get really inspired by the things that you create as well. We also appreciate all your support. We love that you are here joining us for live sessions. We love all your support on Twitter as well. And in our Gold group. And one way to support us is with buying us coffee or hot chocolate. It's really cold outside, and it's great to drink hot beverages right now. And there's a lot of fun winter choices. So feel free to click on the link and buy us coffee if you want. But thank you. We just appreciate you. I feel like this is a year where we're not appreciated enough. I think people fail to take the time to say, you're doing a good job, or I really appreciate how you did this, or you're excelling in this area, or just stopping to say thank you. It doesn't take that long to say thank you, and it feels so good to hear those words. So thank you. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for creating us, for being here with us, for being a part of our Gold community. We appreciate it. And you should go tell all your friends who aren't a part of the Gold community that they're missing out, and that they need to also join so that they can be extra with us and with you too. So thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for creating. And we look forward to seeing everything that you share.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Be playing.